All right, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are grabbing our compass, we're grabbing our mache, and we are going to cut right through the jungle of tech startup positioning. You know, if you've ever felt totally lost, trying to figure out what your company's value actually is, well, stick around. We're about to find a clear path forward, together.
So, have you ever heard of the lost city of Z? I mean, it's this legendary city supposedly deep in the Amazon, and it obsessed explorers for decades. So many people went looking for it, but the jungle, it was just too big, too confusing. And you know what? For so many tech companies, especially startups, trying to define their positioning feels exactly like that. It's this impossible, super frustrating quest where you've got 100 different maps, and they all just seem to lead, well, nowhere.
So why is it so ridiculously hard? Well, you know that old saying about the blind man and the elephant? That's kind of what's happening here. We're all describing a different part of the same animal. Think about it. B2C marketers, they see positioning all through the lens of brand, of emotion. B2B SaaS marketers, for them, it's all about workflows and making things more efficient. And then you get to the really complex world of IT security, and suddenly it's all about these high-stakes, super technical decisions. So yeah, everyone has a piece of the truth, but nobody seems to have the whole picture.
And for tech startups, let's be real, getting this wrong is an absolute disaster. If you use the wrong map, your prospects are going to completely misunderstand what you do. They'll compare you to the wrong competitors, and what happens then? You lose sales. It's as simple and as brutal as that.
Okay, so to find the right path out of this jungle, the very first thing we have to do is clear away all the undergrowth, all these coming myths and misconceptions. So we're going to define what positioning is by first getting really clear on everything it is not.
All right, first up, positioning is not your company's strategy. This is a super common mistake. You hear it all the time, right? Positioning is strategy. But no, strategy is way bigger, way broader. It's the whole shebang. HR, finance, your distribution channels, everything. Positioning is way more specific than that.
So if it's not strategy, where does it fit? Well, think of positioning as the essential translator. It's the thing that takes your big, high-level internal strategy and converts it to something actionable, something with clear direction for your go-to-market and product teams. It's the critical bridge between your grand plan on the inside and how you actually execute on the outside.
Next up, positioning is not just clever messaging. Oh man, this one drives marketers absolutely crazy. Because here's the truth. No amount of clever words can save bad positioning. It's like putting lipstick on a pig. You can have the wittiest, funniest tagline on the planet, but if the core idea, the positioning, isn't right, nobody cares. Messaging comes after you've nailed your positioning, never before.
What about industry analysts, the big firms? Well, they're great at creating market categories, those magic quadrants and waves. But listen, they are not doing your positioning for you. Their job is to define their view of the market. It's not their job to figure out what makes your specific solution uniquely valuable to your specific customers. That's your job.
And here's another one. Positioning is not your product. Now, I know that seems really obvious, right? But you would be amazed how often this gets confused. Building the product, writing the code, designing the features, that's one thing. Talking about the value of that product to a customer, that's something else entirely. Sure, they inform each other, of course they do, but they are two totally distinct activities. Okay, and finally, especially for complex tech, it is not brand positioning. Look, buying shampoo, that's a low-involvement purchase. Brand recognition, a catchy jingle, that stuff matters. But buying a complex IT security solution, that is a high-involvement, high-stakes purchase where somebody's job is literally on the line. And in that world, a crystal-clear explanation of your value will beat a flashy, cool brand every single time.
Okay, so we've cleared away all that brush. The path is a little clearer now. And that lets us get to the absolute core idea of this whole explainer. It's time to stop searching for some perfect, fixed map. We need to start using a compass instead, because for a startup, positioning isn't some static statement you write down. It's a hypothesis you test.
This right here, this is the key. In a market that's moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, where everything feels uncertain, the only way to find out what actually works is to treat your positioning like an experiment. You make an educated guess, you test it out there in the real world with real customers, and then you adapt based on what you learn. It's a living, dynamic process, not some dusty static statement you put on a shelf. So, if positioning is a hypothesis, that begs the question, right? How do you actually build one? How do you test it? Well, that's what we're digging into now.
let's look at the 4-part framework that's going to act as our new, much better map.
All right, this framework has 4 main parts. It all starts with the anchor. This is how you connect your new, complicated idea to something people already get. Then you jump into a cycle. The how is how you execute, measurement is how you know if it's working, and the loop is how you take what you learned and go right back to the beginning to make it better.
Let's start with step 1, the anchor. Honestly, the fastest way to get someone to understand something new is to compare it to something they already know. I mean, think about the iPod. Apple didn't say, here's a portable digital music device. No way. They said 1,000 songs in your pocket. And boom, instantly you compare it to your bulky old CD player. Same with Expensify, expense reporting that doesn't suck. They anchored themselves against that terrible, universally hated experience of filling out paperwork. This anchor, it's like a powerful mental shortcut for your buyer. It just clicks.
So once you have that anchor, the next 3 steps just operate as this continuous, dynamic loop. It never really stops. You execute on your hypothesis, that's the how. Then you measure the results. Is it actually driving awareness? Is it leading to conversions? And finally, you take that learning and use it to refine your hypothesis. And you start the whole cycle all over again.
And I want to be super clear. This is not just some high-level theory. This framework translates directly into real, tangible activities and KPIs you can actually measure. I mean, look at this. Your tagline gets tested by lead gen numbers. Your sales pitch is measured by how many deals actually close. Every single part of your positioning hypothesis gets stress tested against real-world business metrics.
Okay, so by putting all these pieces together, all the myths we just debunked, this new idea of positioning as a hypothesis, the power of the anchor, and that critical feedback loop, we can finally emerge from that confusing jungle. We can walk out with a clear, modern definition that actually works for tech startups in the real world.
So here it is. This is what we've been building towards. Positioning is not some statement you carve in stone. It is your working hypothesis for why you matter. It's a hypothesis that is anchored in comparison, expressed and tested through your go-to-market efforts, and iterated on based on your budget, and most importantly, how your buyers actually respond.
And why does this new map work so well? Well, for one, it gets everyone inside your company on the same page, which is huge. It makes your go-to-market efforts way faster because you're testing and learning, not just guessing and hoping. It helps you translate that super complex tech into simple buyer value. It gives your sales team a narrative they can actually go out and sell with. And maybe most important of all, it removes all that confusing ambiguity for your prospects. They finally get it.
So that really just leaves us with one last question to think about. I want you to look at your own company. Is your positioning treated like a dusty, old, fixed map, one that's supposed to lead to some mythical city you'll never find? Or is it a living, breathing compass? Something that helps you navigate the real world, adapting every single time you learn something new? Because honestly, the answer to that question could make all the difference.